How do you show love in your relationships without losing space for yourself? In this video, I'm going to share with you guys how to maintain a healthy relationship without compromising your boundaries and still showing love without looking selfish. Hey Sunflowers! Welcome to BPD Squared, the channel where we discuss mental health, personal growth, and how to become our best selves. My name is Brenda, and I am so glad you're here. It's the last day of Self-Love February. So we've spent this month building the skills to love ourselves more effectively. As we move into a new month, we will be discussing and focusing on personal growth and learning to forgive. But before we get into that, we must talk about how we can apply the skills that we've learned this month in the real world. Sure, making changes is easy when it's just you that's responding, but what about when it comes to our spouses, our friends, our coworkers? How do you take everything you've learned and put it into practice within your relationships? Sunflowers, you already know. What's our favorite topic on this channel? Boundaries. Exactly. Now, if you're new to joining our garden, don't worry. Just click the card right up here to check out our boundary series. I'll have a link in the flower box below as well. So how do we start enforcing boundaries? If you've made them clearly stated and the other person respects them, then chances are you don't have to. But no relationship is perfect, and in times of anger or misunderstanding, we can sometimes forget where the uncrossable line is. I just made that up. When you feel your boundaries are being violated, it's important to state to the person as calmly and as clearly as you can, "You are not respecting my boundaries." Remind them of what boundary they are crossing, as well as remind them of the consequences of that boundary being crossed. Story time. I had a disagreement with a friend, and being that I'm self-aware, meaning I can recognize when I'm having my moments, I realized I was beginning to split on them. Things were happening within our situation that, even though in my rational mind I knew it had nothing to do with me specifically, I was still getting triggered and I saw myself becoming rageful. So I reached out to this friend and told them that I was not handling the situation very well and that I needed space from them and to, fully heal and process my emotions about what was going on, which unfortunately turned into them calling me before I was ready. Unfortunately, that conversation did not go very well at all. I ended up blowing up at them, and I didn't curse at them or say anything inappropriate as far as I can recall, but I do know that I got pretty loud and I ended the call abruptly. Fast forward, I met up with this friend and we had a chance to sit down and air out our grievances. I reminded them of this incident and the consequences of their actions. I reminded them that even though I made it clear what I needed at that moment, my needs were ignored. Consequently, I separated myself from them and I cut off communication. And when I was further dishonored, I became volatile. In explaining this, my friend noticed the error of their actions and they did apologize. So they now understand that, if I care enough to tell you what I need at the time, then they figured, okay, I can care enough to at least respect those wishes. When a boundary is stated, even if it may not align with their ways of operating, it should still be honored. No one else can decide when or how you heal but you. Okay, so I got this term from my certification program and my mentor was sharing this story of how these guys were playing golf one day and all of a sudden one of their friends, Harry, drops dead out of nowhere. So the guys returned back from the golf course after what seemed like forever. And of course, everybody that's back at the I guess, clubhouse, whatever, that was waiting on them. And they're like, hey, what took you guys so long? What happened? What's going on? And so one of the guys responds, oh, well, Harry dropped dead in the middle of the game. And of course, everybody's like, wait, what? What is going going on here? Wait a minute, hold on. And, so somebody speaks up and says, that is terrible. That is awful. Like that would happen to y'all in the middle of the game. So, I mean, but still, what took you guys so long? Like, what happened to Harry? Like, what did you do with him? And why did it take you so long to come back? And the guy just responds, oh, well, we worked out a plan. Hit the ball, drag Harry. Hit the ball, drag Harry. You get it? You get it? Dad jokes aside, when we carry around things that no longer serve us, it makes progressing harder and harder. It took those guys probably twice as long to complete their game because they were dragging around this literal dead weight. Ooh, that sounds so bad. But if we look at it outside of it being a person, we see that we are the ones that hold ourselves back more than we realize. One of the greatest forms of self-love is learning to let go. Carrying around resentment, holding grudges, being passive aggressive, these things bring nothing productive to our lives or to our relationships. If anything, it teaches us how to become bitter and search for the negative in every situation. I learned this awesomely great, amazing, insert adjective here, interactive lesson from my former Sunday school teacher. I will be releasing that video on Patreon. Yes, I will have a Patreon coming. I will be covering all the details of that in another video, but I will let you guys know as soon as that is available because yeah, it's definitely something I want to do with you guys. It was so powerful for me. I can't wait to share it with you. As we move into the next month, we will cover more of how to let go of negative energy and practice forgiveness for ourselves and for others. But for now, let's move on to our last point. Among the many job titles I hold, I am also a pet sitter and have a pet sitting service called Joy's Pet Care. Specifically, I'm an in-home pet sitter, meaning I stay at my client's house while they're away. So this works out best for the owner and the pet because one, the pet doesn't have to leave their home, and two, the home is not left unoccupied. So it's a win-win for everybody. What I appreciate most about pet sitting is the space that it creates. I get to create a new life while I'm at their home because I'm adjusting to this new routine, this new space, the new pets and their personalities. But I also like that it creates space for my marriage. Hear me out. Being an in-home pet sitter means that I'm staying the night, so I'm staying away from my home for however long the trip is for. So literally this month, I stayed at one of my favorite clients' homes for 20 days. So I was basically gone the entire month of February. Yeah, it was a long time. But of course, and we missed each other terribly. And, I missed my pukas terribly. But being away from each other, I'm sure I can speak for both of us on this, but I'm only going to speak for me right now, that, it was great being able to have that me time, being able to take time to focus on myself and the things that I wanted to do. It was great being able to organize the ideas that I had for my business, be able to, record content on my own time, spend time doing the things I wanted to do without having to, consider another person, basically. These moments also gave me time to learn how to handle certain situations when no one else is around. I mentioned in a short that I had to use my shower method. Even though my husband is understanding and very respectful of my space and my time, it was nice being in a space where I could just yell as loud as I wanted and say whatever I needed without the feeling of disturbing someone or them disturbing me. Well, outside of the cats trying to get under the door, but that's a different story. By taking time for myself, I was able to assess my true feelings. I was also able to focus on the things that I truly valued. I learned so much about myself in that alone time. And when you are by yourself, you can learn so much about yourself. It's actually an amazing process. Practicing self-love in your relationships is mainly about making sure your boundaries are enforced, that you are actively letting go of negative feelings and resentments, and taking time for yourself when needed. Practicing self-love may still be a difficult concept to grasp, so if you still aren't sure how to really get started, take time to answer these journal prompts. How do I want others to show me love? How can I practice this for myself? Thanks so much for joining me in this video, Sunflowers, and thank you for celebrating Self-Love February with me. Be sure that you are keeping in touch on our socials, as well as make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss out on more ways to grow. To learn my top 3 self-love practices, come see me over here. And if you need 10 minutes of me time, come chill with me over here. Stay square, Sunflowers, and I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.